Hello, everybody. Where are you today? All I know is it's feeling wonderful outside. It feels like fall. The leaves are actually starting to fall. It's too soon for them to fall. They haven't even changed color yet. It's just getting really weird outside, but I'm loving it because it just feels good. However, the gnats are starting to get in on me, and I just don't know how I'm going to get by this show with these gnats flying everywhere. I'm like swinging for the fences. Everything's just going crazy. But I got to tell you, I have a wonderful guest today. That's how we do it here. You know, we bring in people, we talk to them, and we have a good time. Today, I have a special guest. We always have special guests. We have someone who goes by a triumvirate of names, I'm going to say, just as a starting point. Someone who's just wants to put out a new book like every 2 months. I'm really not sure what the heck's going on, but please welcome everybody, Preston Asevedo, to the SKITS Fun House! Woo!
How's it going?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
How you like that? You know, that's something that I always try and do to kind of take the tension out of the air, you know, just kind of break that tension and just go, you know,
Let loose the stress a little bit.
Yeah, you know, get people pumped, get some excitement in the air, get everyone excited for being here. It lets people know that I'm excited, so they should be excited as well, you know?
Sweet.
So I got to tell you, just right off the bat, just, you know, I've known of you for quite some time now, but the problem is like, I've known of you of different things. Like I'd hear people say, oh, Preston, you know, Preston's, you know, doing this, he's working on that. And then I was like, oh, there's Doc Salem over here. And then there's, you go by Nikki the Pipe on Twitter. And I was just like, dude, this is all the same person. I mean, like, I'm like, this dude's got a bunch of handles, you know? It's like, this is awesome, you know? So do you think that's actually been a problem for you, having so many handles, you know, to go by, for people to find you and stuff like that? Do you feel like?
Well, I sign everything with my real name. I'm like, I don't try to hide, you know, or anything like that. Like a lot of people are like, I'm only going by this name because I don't want anybody to dox me or anything like that. Yeah. And I don't care.
Yeah.
But I created my my Twitter like way back. I'm talking like way back, maybe 10, 12 years ago or something like that. Like, and but I never paid attention to it. So when I created it, I didn't want to use, I want to be kind of creative with my name. So I just went ahead and used the main character from my Rockabilly Road Trip series. And I just went with that, you know, and I just never paid attention to it. And then like when I started actually trying to build my audience on Twitter, people started calling me Nikki the Pipe instead of Preston. So I was like, and then we had that problem where the other Preston, the evil Preston, decided to make porn. So
yeah,
so it became a good thing that people started referring to me as Nikki the Pipe. And Doc Salem, I kind of like I'm really serious about my new book, Doc Salem Monster Hunter. So I started trying to brand everything with Doc Salem,
Mhm.
because I want to build my universe around that character, kind of,
Sure, sure. No,
and try to.
I think that's a good thing. I mean, it's always good to where you can say, okay, go to Twitter, go to YouTube, go to Instagram, go to wherever, and find it at this name and this name only. You know, it makes
Yeah,
it
no,
really
that
easy for
is, you're
people.
right. Smart people do that. I never claimed to be. Let me put it this way: I'm good at one thing. I do one thing very well, and everything else suffers for it. So,
Well, hey, man. I mean, we can only do the best we can do. And I was just wondering because of the question, because I always heard different names, all these, and then at one point it kind of clicked in my head. It's like, whoa, this is all the same person.
yeah,
You know, and which
yeah.
is fine. It's exciting. It's great, but it took a little while for me to realize that where it was like, oh, this is actually the same person. Oh, this is cool. Now I can kind of connect the dots and stuff like that. But for right now, let me just
Plus, it's good to have a little mystery surrounding your.
it is. It really is, you know. It makes things fun. I'm gonna actually share out your newest campaign right here, right quick. And but one thing I wanted to talk about with this is I mean, you've done a lot of campaigns recently. You know, you did your Rockabilly road trip and
Yeah.
that closed in remind me, May, April was
Well,
it?
Rockabilly, like it stayed in demand for a little while, and to be honest, I never let it. If I would have let it sit and like stew a little bit, it would have made more money.
Mhm.
But I was trying to get Doc Salem off the ground, and
Okay.
while also working on two other books besides Doc Salem. So and knocking out like commissions and covers and stuff like that. So
Dude,
it it
that's
became
crazy.
difficult, So I decided to close Rockabilly Road Trip out.
Yeah.
And then I kind of I was like I teamed up with Brian Crisco from Six Gun Gorilla to go ahead and to revamp Non Devils into something more of that you would see in like more like something you'd see in a heavy metal magazine circa 1970s. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Where it was cool and it was like there's chicks, there's sex and all this kind of cool shit. That was the essence of heavy metal. And now this is also a project that I tried to launch that I came up with while I was on opiates.
Oh, oh no.
Because I just finished getting a surgery and stuff like
Oh,
I
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
be
yeah.
creative, and you know how creative people are.
Yeah,
Like you're going
definitely.
to be creative.
You
It
got to
doesn't
do it when
matter
you
if
can
you're being
do it.
creative,
Yeah.
whatever. If you can't touch a pen and piece of paper, you'll write shit down or you'll just dream shit up. So I dreamed up Nine Devils, and to be honest, it was my first attempt at writing and drawing a comic, you
Mhm.
know, and it was a learning experience. Like I didn't think it'd be a big deal because I've always illustrated comics. So I was like, how hard can it be to go ahead and write and draw? Yeah. And for some reason, I don't know why, like I should have known better, but I fell into every pit, like every trap that a writer artist falls into whenever they do their first book.
Yeah.
And I've criticized people in the past for doing the same thing, but I did it. So
Well, what was that hole that you fell into? What was the trap?
well,
Tell us.
it's overwriting, like overwriting a page, like overwriting a book, like trying to fit too much into one book.
Yeah.
Um, you know how it is when you're doing a comic, like you have certain moments in that book that you want to make like you want to highlight and you want it to be like the center point of the book. And what I did was I put too many panels on that page and I didn't have like this big build up and then a splash page. It was like 6 panels, 7 panels on the same page where I'm trying to have that build up.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out. And so I learned a lot about writing too, because for one thing, I don't know why I did this, but somehow I convinced myself that I can do more than one action per panel. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, And this is something that everybody knows not to do. You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
I fell into that trap too. You know.
well, I mean, you can ghost it where it's like, oh, he's right here. Now he's right here. You know, you can do one of those
Yeah.
ghost type things to show movement, or you can get some lines to kind of show movement where it's like pose, douche.
Well, you could,
know?
but
Yeah,
in this case, it was a clusterfuck. You know
oh
what I'm
no.
saying?
Well, I mean, that's just something that comes from experience, right? You know,
Yeah.
you just start
Now I
doing
did
it and
fix
start
it.
doing
Like I
it.
fixed it on the fly, but like I tell everybody, what you want to do is you want to start out with a solid foundation and build up from there. You don't want to try to fix your foundation while you're trying to build your house, you know, because
Yeah.
it never works out the way you
No.
want. Now that's what that like Don Devil's #1 was my was my trial by fire. And it was a campaign I ran almost like 8 years ago, I think. And
Oh, okay. Okay.
I I had a lot of back stock, so I decided to go run another campaign and get rid of the back stock and get rid of some of the stock of my some of the physical copies of Road Trip. So it's actually a second chance campaign for Rockabilly Road Trip too.
Yeah.
And but the new, and this is all like the new revamped non-devils that we're going to be releasing in 2021 is it's going to be fucking amazing. And it actually draws like some of the characters that appear in this issue do appear in a new one, especially in the main character and stuff like that. So, you know, I figured it'd be kind of a cool thing, you know, like to get the like a demo version of the comic before you actually get the actual comic, you know.
I got you.
So yeah, so that's, you know, if the new series takes off, you're gonna be grateful that you got this old one, you know. So, but
Oh, well,
yeah, I mean, it's a blast. I had it was like I said, it was a trial by fire, and I'm having fun like explaining the new devils and getting rid of, you know, this back stock. And you know, it's been fun, you know, getting
cool.
it out there again.
Well, we got a few people who stop by, so I always like to try and say hello to them. And you know, I'm thinking some of these people are here for you, so let's say hello to them. You know, we got VIP in the house. VIP is always stopping by. We got
Oh,
Oliver from
cool.
656 Comics.
Oliver's a badass. He's a great colorist. Like I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
Oliver's
not
color.
nice people over there.
He
Nice
makes my
people.
stuff look good.
And you got Rick Saylor. Thank you for stopping by. Let's see who else we got in here. We got we got Black
That's
Star. Black Star is dropping all the links and stuff like that. That's my wife. She's
there we
always
go.
helping out and there.
And that's
And we
another
got
thing too. Like like I just got married recently, but we've been together for like 10 years. So it was just a formality. But running these campaigns and getting the logistics done, I couldn't have done it by myself. I'm saying, like,
well,
because
it's tough. It's
well,
tough
if
when
it's a
you're
choice between drawing something or doing logistics, like I would rather, you know, hold the pencil than, you know, type in addresses all day. So,
well,
or
that's just
pack books.
that's just one of those things that they teach you when you're in art school. It's like not only are you an artist, you're also a marketer, you're a
Yeah.
businessman, you're a boss, you're a scheduler, you do all these things, and you have to because if you hired someone to do all those things, I mean, you would be broke. So
Well,
that's
I never went to art school or anything like that. Like everything I know is because I'm pretty much self-taught, and they're like the talent kind of just runs in the family. You know, like my
I got
uncle
you.
had it, and he's a wildlife artist and painter.
Oh, okay.
And but I didn't want to ever do that because I was like, I thought it was boring, like to draw
Uh,
like.
I was the same way, dude. I mean, I'd go to like the arts and crafts fair at church or stuff like that, and I'd just be like, man, I don't want to do this. There's no
Well,
way,
I
you
started
know.
thinking, I was like, these people are so talented. Why are they painting fruit?
Well, yeah, it's just what they
Why
want
are
to
they
do.
painting like ducks and stuff? You know? And
Chaotic, neutral comics, man. I always have a hard time saying that. I have no idea, but thank you for being here. I just want to kind of blow through these people and say hello to everyone. We got
Oh no,
Burstmill.
like King Toad, Chaotic Neutral, all these guys. I love
Oh
all
yeah,
those guys.
Eric
They're badass.
McIntyre, Tree Goblin. I mean, Tree Goblin. That's a good one, man. I like
What a
that.
cool name, Tree
I know,
Goblin.
man. Edwin, hey man, how's it going? Thank you for showing up. Oh, and always medals, movies, and brewskis.
Yeah,
Thank
I got to
you.
mail out some stuff in metal.
Mandible
I suck
smasher.
at getting to the post office. I always get there. It's just, and right now we're having a hurricane. Like in about 30 minutes, we're gonna.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, you're in that part of the world. We got King Toad Comics, and okay, we got Black Angus reviews. Thank you as
Black
well. I'm just
Angus.
trying to get everyone and just say hello to everyone who's here. There we go. I
No,
think.
no, that's hell yeah. That's the
I
whole
think
reason we
so.
do this is for the
Okay,
chat. Yeah.
so you're in Louisiana, man. You're in Cajun country. You're down
Mhm.
south. Are you in Louisiana? Because you said you're in Cajun country, so I'm just
Oh,
guessing.
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I'm located at in Louisiana. My address is.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Nah, I'm
There's
cool.
no reason to do that.
But we yeah, I mean it's like I don't know. The only like we have really good food up here,
Oh man.
and
Hey
that's
man.
it.
Hey, I'm a Southerner. The best food in this entire country is in the South, hands
Yeah.
down. Period. That's just the way it is. Because the rest of the country, let's just run through a little bit of it. New England, it's kind of like a better.
Chowder.
It's like it's a better version of English food. And if anyone who's been to England knows, their food is garbage, it's crap. So, and I'm sorry if you're from England, but it's the truth. Your food is not good. And New England kind of does the same thing, but it's a little bit better, but not too much. Now out west, the best thing about out west is you got all the Asian foods, the Mexican foods, all the different Latina foods from down south in South America. All these people coming up, all that food is fantastic. But there's no really, anything else in my opinion. You got the clam chowder, like out in Seattle, places like that. But the South is where the food is, and that's just how it is, man.
Well,
And
that's where the flavor's at. We
exactly,
have really good flavor. Yeah.
exactly. And where you're at, you got some of my favorite food. You got boudin, you
Oh,
got
I love Buddha.
yeah, you got cracklings,
Crawfish.
crawfish. I mean, this is all the food I grew up with. I was born and
Oh,
raised in Florida, so I ain't too far from there.
absolutely.
It's like seafood and whatever you can put in the pot
Well,
with.
I knew you, so like you definitely have that southern accent going on there.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, man. You don't have a Cajun accent though, man. You gotta have one of those
I
Creole accents.
do. It's just really faint.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I was driving through Louisiana one time looking
It
for a
only
place.
comes out when I get mad.
Oh, okay, there you go. I was looking for a place to get me some boudin or cracklings or something like that, and I stopped off at this place, and I was in this gas station. I saw a sign that said like boudin this way, and I asked the lady, I was like, "Where's this boudin place I see the sign for?" And she was like, "About here on the flat." And I'm like, "What?" And that was the only time I've ever been in this country where someone had a thick enough accent where I couldn't understand it. Because
Yeah, it gets pretty bad, dude. Like they
yeah,
have their own language when you get deep enough into the swamp.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And,
I got country folks in the mountains in
yeah.
Appalachia where they have some thick accents, but the thick Cajun accent, that one was a tough one. That lady kind of threw me for a loop. I had to ask her a couple times to say it. So that was, but it's wonderful. It's great. I love the place, and I'm sorry y'all about to get hit by the second
Nah, this ain't a
hurricane.
big deal. Like we're used
Second
to it.
hurricane.
I
I
mean,
know. I'm from
yeah.
Florida. I know what it's all about, man.
You just have to throw like as far as an art, like the first like when I'll lift up. I've been living up here all my life, and the only one that really affected me was Katrina.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it destroyed all my artwork from when I was a child. So like all my sketchbooks and everything like that. Because I bought a house in Chalmette, Louisiana, and when I did that, I made sure I wasn't in a flood area. Well, every area is a flood area. And it just hasn't flooded yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything's at zero, so
Yeah.
everything floods. I know all about that. I grew up right on the beach almost, and it's like whenever it rained, we were lucky. Our house was the first house built on the street, so all the other houses, obviously, it was built on the highest possible land, which was maybe about 8 inches higher than anywhere else on the street. But the rest of the street would flood, and we'd be fine. So,
Yeah.
There's something funny about that. When they built houses long ago, they were like, hey, man, this is a flood area. We need to build it off the ground, and we need to build it on the highest possible spot in this area. Hey, that spot right there always stays dry. When everything else is wet, we'll build it right there. But then everyone else comes in and builds in those wet spots, and then they flood every 5-10 years. So
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Like it's crazy. But that was the hardest thing, was just losing that. I mean, I had a pretty substantial comic collection too, because I'm also a collector. Yeah.
I can see behind you, man.
Yeah, I collect comics like crazy. Like, it's the love of the craft, and then it's also because I love collecting them too. So I can't like I'm trying to I'm trying to get my own long box, with all my own stuff.
That's gonna take a while.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's a blast. Like, I love doing this kind of stuff. And I also backed skits, because I really
know. Thank you. I mean,
yeah.
that's awesome. I mean, all I got to say is just thank you, and thanks to
No. It's your
great.
style. I like the style of the book. The style of the book is so different. It reminds me a lot of Sam Keith's work. And that's the one thing. Like, I wish I could paint like him, but it's too off the cuff for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know there's a method to it, but it looks really chaotic. It almost looks like he throws paint at the page and it just works.
He kind of does. The process that he uses is he does traditional with pencils and inks, and then he goes back in with watercolor, and I'm thinking probably gouache as well.
Well, you see, that's the same technique that that one of my favorite artists do, Simon Bisley. And I'm like, I use a lot of his techniques whenever I start painting and stuff like that. Him and Frank Frazetta and all those guys,
Oh yeah.
And
those are my influences, the 60s and 70s and 80s fantasy and sci-fi artists. I mean, that's where I'm at that. And then also like manga. So it's like I got the two together. That's my influence.
I looked them like, I don't really look to mangas like they do a hella robot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the like, as far as like body styles and stuff like that, I see it as very generic. You know what I'm saying? But
they have a style that they teach actually in school, and they teach that style of drawing. I know in Korea and Japan from a young age, like when they're in elementary school.
Well, I think they do that for speed.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think the style is basically like there for speed, but like, I look to manga for the imagination that goes into their monsters. And their like bio suits and stuff like that, and also the motion that they put into their artwork. Like, you can't beat manga, on that, dude.
It's like when you have a teacher in school. It's like you kind of find out really quick what their strong points are, and you say, okay, this teacher knows how to do this. This teacher knows how to do this, and I'm going to get this from that teacher, that from that teacher. It's the same with different art styles and different comic books. It's like, okay, manga, I'm going to get this from American comic books. I'm going to get this from European comics. I'm going to get this from. So there's you just kind of know what you're going to get and what you're looking for in those different genres. So for me, I'm like, okay, I like this, what that they're doing here, and I like this that's going on here. So I'm going to kind of get something together and see what's going on,
No, I get that. And I think that's how you get a style. You like your own style by stealing or borrowing from other artists and other genres. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people, like, I don't know, it's almost like they're trying to like make you feel bad or something like that for
well, people always say that. It's like, oh, you're tracing, or you're doing this, or you're doing that, you're using photos.
Well, I'm totally against tracing. Like, I don't think you should actually trace anything unless it's your work. Like, if you do a rough and then you trace your rough and to tighten it up on a cleaner piece of paper, that's completely different. But
well, I also don't mind if people are using like photographic reference and stuff, and they use that.
No. There's nothing wrong with that.
If it's all your stuff, who cares?
But if you're like Greg Land, where you go out there and you trace the same like pose out of a magazine.
I'm not a big fan of that. And why would you trace a pose out of a magazine anyway? Because usually stuff in the magazine is pretty straightforward and boring. It's like me, it's like I want, like in your face. You know, that's what makes comic books
exaggerated
cool. Yeah,
proportions, and
yeah.
like I love doing stuff like that. Like that's taken from manga though, you know,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Well, it just needs to be in your face. I mean, people like McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, all those people, you know, in the 90s, they were doing that. It was all in your face. And that's actually where Rob Liefeld got a lot of his influence
Oh
for his
yeah,
designs
definitely.
and style was from manga, like Mashimu Shiro with the big shoulder pads and the pouches everywhere and all that sort of stuff. That
Well,
was all from manga.
that's one thing I don't like about modern comics though, is that they don't, it's too stiff, and it's almost like, you know, they're tracing it from a 3D model, you
Yeah,
know? And
I'm
and
not a
that's
big fan of that sort
and
of
it
stuff.
all looks the same too. Like they'll get like J. Scott Campbell or a Joe Mad to do a cover or something like that, but then the interiors are fucking, they're garbage. Yeah.
Well, you
So,
know,
like,
what you're making on comic books these days, you know, the amount of money you pull in
mhm.
is starting to go down and down and down. So it's like they keep looking for people that they can pay less and less and less. But that's
Yeah,
their mindset anyway. It's like, oh, we're only making this, so we got to pay this. My idea, especially with my comic, is like, well, I want to give people X, even though I only may be making about here. I still
yeah,
want to give them X because I want them to expect better and more, and you know, so that when they see the second one come out, well, you know, they'll say, "Oh gosh, man, that was really, really good. I wasn't expecting that. Maybe I should go ahead and go get the second one because he brought it like at a level that was way up here comparative to the amount of money he was making." You
well,
know,
let me ask
so,
you a question. Like, when you do skits, do you do everything? Like,
yeah, I do it. I do all of it except for the two variant covers, which one is by Kent Williams, which I'm a huge fan of Kent Williams. I can't believe I got him.
I mean, but
And
all the, like, do you
uh,
do color, ink,
yeah, I do
pencils,
everything. Yeah,
everything?
yeah, I do everything.
Yeah. You see, the only thing I don't do is color.
Hmm.
And like, as far as formatting the book and everything else, like, that's all me. Um, but I think that's why we're able to do this, you know, whereas and actually make a living off of it, and other people can't, like, at the moment. You know, why their threshold has to be a lot higher. Like, they're, you know, even though they're asking for 6,000 to go ahead and get the book made, like, for them to actually make a profit, they have to go around 20 or $30,000, because they actually have to pay their artists, they have to pay a colorist, and they have to pay all these other guys.
Yeah.
Whereas with us, it's almost like a one-stop shop, you know?
Yeah, I mean, all it is when we decided to do this, I was like, okay, I know I want to get a couple of good artists to do some covers, and I can go into that more later. But anyway, but I wanted to, excuse me. I'm like, what the heck are you going? But I just wanted to like sit here and say, okay, I'm gonna do everything I possibly can to make this the best as I can. I'm gonna pay a couple of people, but I mean, here it's all sweat equity, you know,
Yeah.
that's all it is. And it's like if it fails, no big deal. I didn't waste a lot of money. But if it does good enough, I can keep going and build on it. And I think that we actually got to a part to where, you know, we can actually build on this. You know, we made a decent amount of money for our first campaign, and we're going to keep going and keep building on this.
Yeah.
So
Well, it sounds like you're a lot like me too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're almost like a little bit of a control freak when it comes to your, and you don't, like, I have a colorist working with me on Doc Salem, but I've pretty much decided that for the next issue, I might try painting a whole issue instead of just getting somebody to go ahead and do colors, because even though he's a great colorist, and I'm just not happy. You know what I'm saying?
well,
Like,
well, you know, you have an idea, and I think everyone has an idea in their head if they're a comic book creator of what they want their book to look like, you
yeah.
know, and
But it's
whether or
almost
not,
like asking them to do it, you know, like, you almost feel bad because you're asking for change after change after change to kind of get through to them what you want, you know?
well, I
And
haven't had to worry about that just because I'm doing everything. So
exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's why, yeah, like, when you're doing everything, it's like, if it flies or falls, it's all up to you, you know, like, and you're the only one to blame for it. So it's like, you don't mind experimenting, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm the type of person who gets bored really easy, so I'm always experimenting and I'm always trying to do different stuff. That's actually why Skits has 3 different art styles in it. I got
Yeah.
pencils and colors, I got inks and colors, and then I also have a painted style. So because it's like I knew that if I just did one style, I'd be bored halfway through the book and I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to do it. And I also know that the stuff that was really exciting to me when I was collecting comics in like the 80s and 90s big time, it was like Dave McKean, Kent Williams, uh, John Muth. Those were the people that were doing that sort of thing that I really enjoyed, where it's like different art styles through it. You know, there was different stuff here and there. You know, I
Well, that
just
kind of
really
goes back to the
loved
Sam Keith thing too, because Sam
it.
Keith like throws like one page will be pencils and watercolors, and the next page he'll throw some color pencils or some shit like that in there, and it's
Yeah,
like, but
yeah.
it works. Like,
I mean, it's really great, and I got to tell you, like to this day, the Max is still my favorite book that's ever come out of Image. You know, I mean, it was like fantastic. And what's sad though about it is that I've heard him talk. Excuse me, I've heard him talk where he's basically saying like, I'm done with that point in my life. I don't really want to do the Max anymore because people are always
yeah.
like, "Hey, you gonna do more Max?" He's like, "No, I'm just not at that spot anymore. I don't want to do it." But and I was just like, man, I would love to see him do like an ongoing Max series again, because I just love the story. I love the art. It was fantastic. And but we probably never will. He does one of those Batman Max every now and then.
Yeah.
It's
I wish
kind of
you I wish you would do
interesting.
something like hold on, wait 1 second. Eric, contact send me a PM and we'll talk some more about that. Um but as far as I don't know, like artists like that. Like I talked to an artist recently. I did an interview with Greg Williams, and he did
Mhm.
Animal Mystic and all this, all these cool things back with Sirius Entertainment, right? Like the same place where Cry for Dawn came out of. And he was saying that he got all the stories he wanted to tell out, like he doesn't really want to. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't imagine that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that might be the same thing with Sam Keith. Like maybe he got all the Max stories he wanted to get out, and
Mhm.
but he hasn't really done anything else, has he? Like anything like creator owned since then, or has he?
No, he has. He's done a bunch of little series where it'd be like one of them was called Ojo, and it was I
Okay.
think like 5 issues or something like that, and it got collected. He did another one where it's of this girl. He usually does ones where it's like girl characters,
Yeah.
and I think he's done like 3 or 4 of these where it's like 5, 6 books collect, and then he collects them together at the end as a trade.
Well, I
Like
got one that he put out called Legs. Yeah.
yeah, that's another one.
Um,
Yep, yep.
yeah.
And I remember Legs actually. I think he did that like years before for Eclipse, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. In the 80s, Eclipse for anyone out there is like Marvel's like offshoot printing label where it's like it's not the main core of Marvel characters, and then they'll print some oddball stuff over here. And actually, in the
Was
80s,
that
they had some
Eclipse or
really
was
interesting.
that Epic?
Oh, was it Epic? Okay, maybe it was Epic. Yeah.
Because I think
Was it
Marvel tried to
Eclipse
do
or Epic? It was
they had a
it was
label called Epic where they would let like creator own
yeah,
stuff for
yeah,
a while, and that's
yeah,
where Dreadstar and shit like that came from.
yeah,
And
and yeah. My bad. I don't. Why did I say Eclipse? I thought
Eclipse was a different
it
comic
was a
company.
different company, but it wasn't the Marvel offshoot. But
Yeah.
Eclipse had
Now,
some interesting stuff too. So go over there and check that stuff out as well. I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, it's Epic, not Eclipse. That's actually where they wanted the Image people to do their books. They were like, hey, and
mhm.
because the Image guy said, hey, we want to do this and we want to own it. They're like, oh, we'll put it over at Epic, and they
Yeah.
were like, no, it's like we want it with the real books. We want it to sit right there next to Spider-Man with Marvel right on it.
Well, that was Marvel attempt at retiring all
Yeah,
those guys, pacifying them until people forgot about
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then people forgot about Marvel for a while.
Yeah, exactly. I love that, dude. That's fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's
But
good stuff, man.
But Devils, I mean, Devils was the new Devils is what you guys are going to really be looking forward to. Like the new one, I mean the old one, I got them back boxed up back here right now. I I, if it wasn't for this hurricane, I wasn't worried about my lights going out. I'd be printing out the labels right now. But if my printer or the lights go out, then it's going to fuck me up with stamps.com.
Oh yeah, geez,
Yeah.
that sucks.
So I'm waiting to see what happens with that. But these are about to go out, and me and Brian sent me the outline of the new script, and I fucking love it. Like, it is complete metal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're
Yeah,
going nuts on it.
I got his 6-gun gorilla, and I'm still waiting to have it come in, because a lot of people have told me it's really good writing, so that's like,
Yeah.
I bought it. I don't know. I think I got it maybe 4 or 5
I didn't
months
think I would
ago.
like 6-gun, right? Like, I mean, I knew I liked Brian's writing, and I'm cool with gorilla books, but I didn't know any, like, I was like, kind of old west. I'm not sure if I'm down with the old west. There's no mysticism. It's kind of just like this carny gorilla. And
Well,
he
I'm not.
sent me the issues, like, because I'm going to be doing the next,
Oh,
like,
okay.
6-gun 8, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he sent me the issues to kind of read up on, and I started reading it, and I was like, and I couldn't put it down. Within 3 to 4 pages, he had my attention.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for mine. So Brian, if you're out there watching, it's like, hey man, send it on. I ordered it. Let's come on, man.
When did you order it? Because like,
I think what I did is I ordered it, and then I ordered it with whatever new is coming out. So it's like it's
yeah,
gonna all come together, So
yeah,
I just got to wait till the new stuff comes in, and then he'll ship it all together. But I'm just excited to read it, because everyone tells me it's really really good. So
it is. It's good. I mean, the art, like in the trade anyway, like the art inside of the newest issue is pretty tight. Like, it's pretty consistent. The art inside of the trade, it's consistent to a point, then it kind of varies a little bit, and then it gets back on track. But I mean, I really can't talk any shit about that, because the trade that I put out for Road Trip, it kind of did the same thing, but you could actually see progression in there. Like, we started that series in 2006. So from 2006 all the way up until 2014, you see how my style kind of grew, and how I was, growing as an artist. And a lot of people like that. And some people are like, yeah, it's good, except for the first 2 issues look like a child did it. Yeah.
Well, I definitely, I was talking to my wife earlier, and I said that you can definitely see a progression where it's like, okay, I saw Rockabilly Road Trip, and then I saw Doc Salem, and then you see the artwork that you're putting out right now. I was like, there's definitely a progression where he's gotten a lot better, and that's always a good thing. Like it, I actually worked on skits maybe 10 years ago, and I put out little floppies of it, and
Yeah.
it was of a different part of the story, and you could tell the first book to the third book like night and day. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
bam, 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 and it just progressed and just got way better. And comparative to what I'm doing today, it's just like all 3 of those books are just like way down here, down here somewhere, and that's what I'm doing right now.
I totally get that. Like, I know exactly. That's what I'm saying about Road Trip. Like, it's, Road Trip, like, compared, if you go to the very first story in the trade paperback and you go to the newest issue that we just put out, it doesn't even look like the same person did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, the only way to get better is to do it, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. So I pulled up your Doc Salem right here. Now, this was the last big campaign where it's like a new platform, a new character, new everything. Now, I know you just said that you're going to do that last one again. You got this new one coming up. Are you just going to be doing like new properties every time? Is that something that you had in your mind?
No, we're launching Non-Devils. And Non-Devils is going to be it's going to be book 1, but it's going to be kind of a self-contained story. And the thing is I'm quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can knock out 2 to 3 pages a day, in pencils, like tight pencils. And now that I've found a colorist, Oliver, that's really good at coloring my pencils, I don't think I'm gonna go with inks anymore, because I really like the look, and it kind of reminds me of early Silvestri, when he put out Cyberforce. So I think that's going to be the norm as for a little while, and I until I get bored with it and I want to go back to like inks or whatever. But I'm having a blast just knocking this stuff out. Like it's unlike a lot of artists, panel work, I love doing panel work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
As much just as much as I like doing covers, I love doing panel work. So like I don't approach it like, oh, I got to get this done. The only thing I really hate is doing my thumbnails and laying those out, you know.
Yeah, thumbnails are tough, man. I'd have to say that's probably the hardest point for me, because what I've done is I've tried to do all of my thumbnails for the entire book first, so I can get my pagination straight, you know, my page layouts, all that, so I can look at it and see the flow. And that's really been the hardest thing for me, is just getting all of those thumbnails done, because
exactly. I feel you, because one thing you got to make sure that you don't try to put any effort into it, you know, like you got to stop. You're like, oh, this is going to look fantastic. But you're like, no, I have to do it in stick figures. I can't like flesh it out or anything like that. You know, go to the next page.
Well, here's the thing for me. I have to do I do all my thumbs in the computer. So I have to get it to a certain level of finishedness. You know, it has to be to a certain point so that I can project it out on a piece of paper and do all the pencils or inks or whatever I'm going to do. So I actually have to get it to a certain rendered state before I can say, okay, I'm done with it. Like I can actually do thumbnail. If I was just doing them like on a piece of paper and just doing some quick thumbnails, I could run through them and probably like I could do like 30 a day or something like that. It would be no big deal. But I actually have to render them out, because I'm doing all my stuff in the computer first, so that I get to a certain amount, so that I can project them to paper, and then, you know, we go.
I'll be honest, like most of Rockabilly Road Trip, like from the trade, and also Non-Devils was done digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so slow. Like I did a page every 2 days or something like that. Yeah. And the deal is that I'm OCD, right? So you give somebody a magnifying glass and they're OCD and you tell them start drawing, you know? Yeah, I zoomed in like 200 times into like an eyeball, you know? You know, it was like I'd spend 3 or 4 hours doing like an iris. No, it can't be printed because it's stupid. It's the details too fine, you know, and the like once, and then when I realized that, and I was getting upset and I was getting bored, like I was getting frustrated with it. So I was like, it almost got to the point where I just wanted to quit, you know. And then I decided to give up the Cintiq, you know. I sold it. And I decided to go back and just start doing everything traditional again, right? Yeah. And because two things. One, I see other artists and they actually have samples, like real samples, you know, that you can actually touch and look at and see the technique broke down on paper. And I was like, and I wanted that again. So I went ahead and I started doing everything traditionally again, and I became fast, you know. I was like, because I still did a lot of detail, you know, and I draw bigger than other artists. Like I draw the same size as Arthur Adams draws. You know, I do like 15 by 23, you know, instead of 11 by 17. And I move faster that way too, because on 11 by 17, it almost feels claustrophobic, you know, like, but on the bigger paper, like I can move quicker. I'm able to lay it out better because I know like I have space, you know?
Sure.
And, so yeah, I mean that's the reason why I'm quick now, is because, you know, it was so freeing to do everything traditional again. You know, I was just like, I was like, wow, I was like, this is crazy. But
well, no matter what, I have to have everything analog, because I don't want it to be digital necessarily. Like I do a painted style, and that's digital, and that's enough for me. You know, I want to have a piece of paper when I'm done where it has the artwork on it, you know, so I can actually sell it later on or something.
Exactly. And that's another thing too. It's a whole other like revenue, like income, you know what I'm saying? I want that stream of revenue, you know.
Even though no one's actually bought any of my pages right now.
Oh, they will.
I sold the cover, and I've sold some sketches and some other stuff, but none of the pages have gone yet. Oh, I've sold the double page spread. See, I did something special. I've never been a big fan of the two 11x17s right next to each other, taped up the middle.
I don't like that either. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna do mine 20x30.
That's what I do. That's exactly what I do. Yeah.
Big old piece of paper. So, you know, I've been showing those around on my Twitter and stuff like that, and I've sold a couple of those. So that's
the
really
only problem is scanning it in. You know, like I have to like scan it in quarters.
Yeah. Either that, or you can take it to a shop and put it on their barrel scanner and have.
Oh, dude, I tried that, and one of them got ruined. Yeah.
Oh no.
It's not quite 20x30 though. What I do is my Bristol pads are all 19x30. No, 19x24. Yeah. So I just I blow up I blow up a double page spread in Photoshop and use those measurements when I measure it out on 19x24. Yeah. And it's still big, and it's still big enough to go ahead, you know, but there's no seam, so you don't have to worry about that, you know, placing everything together and hoping it lines up and all this kind of crap. So yeah,
but, definitely. So I'm gonna show you something here. Let me just see if I can get over to this. So, you know, we're talking about doing things large. I thought I would go ahead and show you, like, this is what I got from Kent Williams for the painted cover. I mean, you see how big that is, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really nice painting right there. But I'm probably going to do a painted cover for.
Did you buy that from was that part of the deal when you hired him?
If I have someone do artwork for skits, I buy the originals because I want to own all of it.
See, that's awesome, because I do the same thing for Doc Salem. Like, I had Derek Donovan do a painted cover for me, and I was like, all right, you got to sell it to me. Well, you got to sell me the original. Like, I need the original.
Yeah. Whenever we tell people, you know, hey, we'd like you to do a cover for us, can you quote us a complete price with the original artwork, because we want to own the original artwork. So it's like, don't even send me one without that, you know, because I want the original. If I'm gonna pay someone to do it, I want that original. I don't want a digital file. So.
No, there's nothing wrong with that either. Like, I want to actually hang out, because I'm very serious about this character. You know, this character, this is like, I've sworn to myself I'd never do a superhero, you know, like spandex character. And I don't think Doc Salem is a spandex character. I think he's more of I don't know, he's a monster is what he is. Yeah. I'm saying, like, like one of my favorite characters growing up, when I was growing up, like my heart, like, you know, because I'm a big fan of horror, is Frankenstein. You know, it's one of the first like horror characters I was introduced to, you know, like the original Mary Shelley's black and white movies and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
And so like in everything I do, like even in Rockabilly Road Trip, there's there's the Bride of Frankenstein. She's included in Rockabilly Road Trip. But in Doc Salem is actually Victor von Frankenstein, you know, and like because of the crap that went on with his monster, he you know, his name is Outlaw. If you played a video, it'll explain it. But it's like this character, I wanted him to be like his personality, like Adam West Batman, except like psychotic, you know? So he has like these dark thoughts, but he talks like somebody from the 18th century, you know? But he's trapped in modern age, you know? It's crazy, you know?
Yeah, is there a video that you'd like me to show?
Yeah, you can play it, you know, but there's also a lot of Lovecraftian beast in there, and a lot of, you know, it's a playground for horror, you know?
Well, let's do this. It might take a second to load, so let's give it.
Yeah.
There we go.
You know the story. A mad genius, an unholy creation. The world, of course, remembers the monster, not the man. But sometimes, when you look closely, there's more to a tale. Sometimes the monster is the man. This is the story of Dr. Salem, Monster Hunter. Dr. Victor Frankenstein endures life-threatening wounds inflicted by his very own creation. His trusty assistant Igor injects him with the elixir of life, which puts him in a state of suspended animation. When he finally awakens, many years have passed and times have changed. The world that he knew is long gone and the tables have turned. Now monsters have emerged from the shadows and taken over. Victor Frankenstein finds that he is one in man due to the devastation his creation had wrought. To make amends for his transgressions, Victor assumes the guise of Dr. Salem and hunts down rogue monsters. This new and exciting series, created by artist and writer Preston Asevedo, is a 52-page graphic novel that combines Lovecraftian horror with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to give you a fresh new look into the world of classic monsters. So join the Doc Salem army and help Doc Salem bring peace and balance to the world, one monster at a time. Thank you for your support.
Nice, man.
Yeah, and that's the painting right there, like on the end screen, on the end cap.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's the one I got from Derek.
Nice.
He's a master like watercolor artist. Yeah, that's my work, my shitty paintings, right?
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
But we're also doing, like, I'm also doing a crossover with Six Gun Gorilla and the Lit Devils Doc Alpha.
Oh, okay.
It's a blast, dude. And I got to tell you, like, and we're next year. I'm also going to be releasing a one shot with me and Sim's character from Blood Hunt, Vincent.
Okay. Yeah.
My goal, I do this for a living. Like, I do this shit full time. That's why, I guess I can knock out so much, and have all these projects on the table at once. But my biggest problem is doing logistics. I'm saying, like,
well, that's why you have your wife, right, to help you with all that.
Exactly. Yeah, and she's been a huge help, dude. Like, I mean, she made sure Rockabilly went out. She's making sure like Non-Devils is going out, and
got to give her props, and you better give her props. I mean, you're here doing this live thing, so yeah. I'm sure she's listening in.
No, she'll listen later, and then she'll yell at me if I don't mention her
name. Yep. Well, I got to tell you, man, this has been fantastic. We try and keep this to about a little under an hour, and it's like we just try and be cognizant of people's time. But I got to tell you, man, this has been fantastic. And I feel like we just barely scratched the surface. So I'm gonna have you back. And you say you have another campaign coming soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just talk art, we can do that too. Because I know we're both painters.
Definitely.
We both love experimenting with shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll have to actually bust out some paintings and show them to you next time. I don't really show too much of my paintings, but I'm probably, physical paintings, but I'm probably going to be doing some for probably the second book. Like, I'm probably going to do a painted cover, and I might do like some double page spreads or something like that, just to kind of,
that's awesome.
Just to kind of wet people's whistle a little bit, because I know people like them, and the couple that I have shared. So it's just one of those things.
You know what? I think there's a huge deficit in the and like not just with like creative, like modern comics are creatively, like, it's like an abortion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's creative abortion. They've and that's why I think a lot of, like, even while they're saying pencils down, like we're actually prospering in indie circuits, because I honestly believe that everybody who's working now in the indie circuit should have been hired to work at the big companies, but we were just locked out,
Well, I've never actually tried, so I don't know if
I did. I sent in like submissions like crazy, but it never came back. Now that the thing is that once you give somebody like me or you or anybody else like creative freedom, and you paying them to go ahead and create these comics, and they could do anything they want with no supervision, there's no reason to ever go to work for anybody ever again.
Well, see, this is why I'm doing this right now, because I knew that I would never want to draw, the different characters and stuff at like Marvel or DC. There's only, if I sit back and think about it, there's probably only really 2 books I would ever want to draw. One would be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If they hollered at me and wanted me to do it, I'd probably do it in a heartbeat. And probably an old Spider-Man. I'm not too big on this, like, I'm a teenager in middle school Spider-Man, or whatever he is, or high school or whatever. I like old man Spider-Man, maybe like old man Logan.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they put out a book like that. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
did they?
badass.
Okay.
Where he was an old man and Mary Jane died or something like that. And
Oh,
it
okay.
was
Well,
I found out the name of that book. Like it was before they put out all the end books, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
yeah. Like if I did Spider-Man, I'd want him to be probably in his 30s or older. You know,
oh no, he
I'm
was
not a
older. He was like an old man. Yeah,
yeah.
when he
It's
was
like
going against Venom. Yeah, it was crazy.
yeah, it's like when I read Spider-Man, he was married to Mary Jane. He was working. He was a regular dude, you know. But then like
Yeah.
they rolled back time, and now he's like a teenager, and I'm like, oh come on,
Well, somebody said that that's what they do, right? Like once a character, like once not the character but the market, like us, you know, once we get into our like late 20s and 30s,
man. Hmm.
then they kind of start the whole process and the universe all over again for the next generation that comes up. So you're like, why? So me and you are like, why the hell are they repeating all these stories? You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
but it's not for us. It's for
why don't they just do it like The Simpsons? Just make really cool stories and keep them the same age all the time. I mean, that's all they
yeah,
got to do.
they
You know?
could do that. I mean, it'd probably get boring though. I don't
Well,
know.
Batman, you know, I mean, Batman's kind of been always old, but they do offshoots from time to time where he's
Yeah.
old or he's young or something like that. But anyway, that's for another stream. We'll hold that back and we'll do it again because this was fun. This was exciting. And as always, thank you very much. Actually, did I
And
say your
Black
name?
Star.
Did I say your name right when I introduced you, Preston Asevedo?
Yeah, actually, you're probably one of the few people that like got it right off.
My wife,
The,
she's gonna be ecstatic because anything I ever say, I always say it wrong because you know I'm a Southerner. I just don't know how anything's said. You know.
her name. They used to have a cartoon at like a long time ago called Black Star, and it was
Really?
badass. It was
Okay.
great.
We'll have to check that out. But anyway, I would like to say thank you for being here. I'm gonna go ahead and play a video out and just hang on, and I'll talk to you after the show. How's that?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you for coming, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, it's a blast, dude. Yeah.
No.